Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to speak to you today. Thanks a lot for taking the time. I guess a lot of the audience members might have already seen the first half of the final season, but what can they expect from season 6 in general, particularly part 2?
Well, they're going to have to watch it. I'm not going to give you a rundown of what's going to happen. That's their job. But yes, and the thing is, the series finishes in 2005. So it's funny. People think it's now. It isn't now. It's over 20 years ago. So it's post Diana and emergence of Harry and William and Kate and then the other issues that happen with the family.
And of course, coming into this final season, you were returning to a character that you'd already played before, but maybe casting your mind back, what was your approach when taking on this role of the Queen? What was kind of research did you do? Were you watching previous seasons of The Crown, or did you start with a blank slate?
Well, you start with her slate and watching documentaries of the Queen and reading up on the history and working with the dialect coach, William Conacher and Polly Bennett, who's the movement. And so really just starting to build her from the inside. And because you had Helen Mirren before, you had lots of incarnations, and I've taken all of those on board, and then you have to put them to one side. I imagine like Claire Foy had to do after watching Helen. So you just have to start building it slowly yourself. And I had the luxury of time, because if they'd said on a Friday, you're going to play the Queen, we start on Monday, I think I'd have taxi. So that would have happened. So I had time and a lot of people helping me. And then you'd start adding in, the makeup, the wigs, and all the sessions with wigs and how to make that work and all. So it was a wonderful process. And so I wasn't alone. And yet she is alone. So, but that was a really wonder. I loved all the prep. So you get all the fear out of the way, then do the prep, and then you're doing it. And it was really hard. I'm not going to say, oh God, once I was there, every day was a challenge. Every day was difficult and rewarding and therefore so satisfying to do.
And you're mentioning there about kind of the costumes and everything like that. I mean, of all the characters, it seems like the Queen just has the most iconic look in terms of the hair, in terms of the outfits. I mean, how much of that also just helps you step in to that character?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, of course, absolutely, that it's integral to her being, because in a way, the Queen sort of always stayed herself. She didn't start dyeing her hair. She didn't want to wear, what's fashionable now? She knew she had to present a constant image. If that image was changing all the time, people would go, well, hang on, what's she doing now? Well, oh, she's this now. Oh, she's that now. She knew she had to remain the same. An age, a woman with her own face. That's new. So that was quite, I sort of always think about that here's a woman who just had to be what she was as a human being, rather than what any outside pressure. You've got to look like this now, you've got to look like that. I think she was very clear about what she needed to be, how she needed to portray herself.
And it feels like with every new season we're saying, but these are some of the most monumental events that, happened. And then perhaps the closer we do get to the present day, it does feel even fresher in people's minds. Whether we're talking about the relevance of the monarchy, but in particular, the death of Princess Diana. How did you feel kind of going in and portraying these events?
Well, we knew it was going to be contentious. We knew it would be difficult for people, but they happened. So we can't ignore that. And you've got a writer who isn't afraid to he's not going to shy away from difficult situations. And therefore, it's so satisfying to be, in the same car as him, sort of going on this journey. It's what happened. So he's telling it like it was. So we couldn't pretend otherwise.
And such a phenomenal cast, and obviously, I guess, spending all this time to work with each other. I guess by the end of the final season, you must have had such a shorthand. But particularly perhaps working with Jonathan Pryce. What was it like with this fellow cast?
Well, I mean, what is weird actually is you think we're together all the time, but of course we're not, because we're all doing different bits all over the year. But Jonathan and I have known each other a very long time. Leslie and I have known each other a very long time. That's really great. But then, I have James Murray as Andrew. I have Claudia Harrison as Anne. So we just had it was a very good family, actually. I just wish we'd just had just the family scenes all the time, because I loved those. So it's... and of course the most important thing is the work on the day, and we all. I mean, I had nothing but huge respect for every single person that I've worked with on this, and for actors over the last 10 years, all of us going, I wish I was in The Crown. Can someone say, I could be a lady in waiting, just can I get a job on The Crown? So, because if you've got a great writer and you've got a great creative team, and you just want to be sitting at their table and trying to be better, and trying to sort of contribute to this piece of excellence that Peter Morgan has created.
And of course, we have to mention, obviously while you were shooting this final scene, the passing of the Queen. How did that perhaps affect you or the cast, stepping back on to set after that? But also, there's such an added poignancy, perhaps, to the legacy of this show, having happened.
Yes, I think you're right. It did add a poignancy, but it couldn't affect what we were doing on the day-to-day filming. We stopped, obviously, for a period of time, and then when we resumed, I think it was very difficult for other people looking at me, because I was the shape, and I think that was harder for them. I had to sort of gird my loins myself and just go, right, I just have to get on with this now. And I think with this final series, and maybe particularly the final episode, which I think is a huge tribute to her, I think people will be ready to watch this now.
And of course, you've done such an incredible range of things in your career. What have you got coming up next? And how do you choose your roles now? I guess you have your pick of them.
Well, I don't really have a pick of them, but nice of you to think that. It's hard. I'll never follow any. This is just, it's quite hard to think, well, what can I do now after this? But I'm going to go back and do some theatre. Going to do Hello Dolly next year and see if I can still sing. But this has been the most rewarding experience. I did a film with Mike Leigh called Vera Drake, and that changed my whole attitude to this work, and this has been as consuming as that and as rewarding. And I don't I don't take notice of what anyone says about it, good or bad. I just know I go to work on the day, and that's the most important thing in my life that I can do, apart from my family and my garden and my dog.
Oh, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for sharing all with me, and can't wait for everyone else to see this final season. Thanks so much.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
That was always good.